Hello everyone, welcome back to another Stay Creative on Substack video with me, Claire Venus. I am an engagement consultant and mentor, and I absolutely love Substack. So I started making these tutorials just to make it a bit easier for you if you are new to the platform, if you're curious about the platform, maybe you opened an account as a reader and now you're curious about whether you might want to write there or create there. It was set up as a platform for writers, but I've seen people use it really creatively. You can use podcast on there, video on there, all sorts of different audio and mixed media. And it's a really, really beautiful, spacious place to be. So today, I just thought I would talk you through what ended up being a 14-point checklist to kind of work through the first stages of setting up your Substack. So I'll bring that up on my screen. I'll put my glasses on and we'll find it. There we go. Okay, so this is my newish space on Substack, and I have called it Sparkle on Substack for a few reasons, really. I wanted to set up a brand and a space that was around encouraging people to be creative on the platform. So sometimes we box ourselves in with all of these rules that don't really exist. Remember, the whole world is made up, society is made up, somebody somewhere made it up and then people followed along. And I think we're really guilty of this online. Like, we see a way that something is done and we think that's the way to do it and that's the way that we should do it. And actually, as creatives, if we trust our inner knowing and our source power when it comes to creativity, there are loads of different ways to show up. So I really wanted an expansive space to share some of the resources that I found really useful, some of the art that I'd found on Substack, some writery groups and resources and that sort of thing. So I set up this space. And when I did a post called Let's Work on Our Substack Publications Together, it was a post that was about inviting everybody to work on Substack together and to kind of think about what it could be for them and what fit with their brand, with their writing, with their creativity, and also for my paid members here on Sparkle on Substack as well. So as we scroll down here, you'll see that there's an access button to the PDF that I'm about to share with you guys, and that is your 14-point checklist. So that's the best place to find it. It's in this post here called Let's Work on Our Substack Publications Together. You can find it super easy if you go to Sparkle on Substack, and I'll put the link in the YouTube description as well so that you've got it. So if we go over here, I'll just mind the Zoom box. Oh, we don't want to end any meetings. No, thanks. We'll not do that. Hopefully, is it going to let me share this? I might have to go into, I'll just do a new share, 2 seconds. There we go, that'll do it. There we go. There we go. I think it's just moving through URLs and the PDF, isn't it? Just making sure that you guys can see what I can see. So 14-point checklist for newbies, and I've called it newbies, but let's be honest, like, we're all new, aren't we? It's a newish platform. So if this is useful to you, then great. You don't have to do every single one. You don't have to work through them in chronological order. This is really just an invitation. So if you're looking at the really complicated, long settings page and wondering, well, what do I do? What do I do first? This is just designed to help you with that a little bit. So first of all, I've said you can write a welcome post to your subscribers. Now, you might feel a bit silly doing this if you haven't got any subscribers, but remember, this is going to be the first thing that people land on. So if Substack is pushing your publication out within its network, if you're sharing it in other places, you want to have that kind of welcome to my new home, welcome to my party, welcome to my living room, welcome to my kitchen table, whatever it is. So you want to welcome them in and set your intention. Now, with a brand new space, it's really hard to know what it's going to grow into, but what you might know is that you want to publish once a month, once a week, every other week. There are lots of different ways to show up. It might be that you want to be more vague than that. It might be that you want to show up for a specific project. Maybe you're serializing a memoir, or you want to publish your poetry, or you want to share a piece of art every single month. There are so many different things that you can do on the platform, but tell your subscribers what to expect. Now, I repeat the information from the welcome post in my about page and also in my welcome email. So it's not exactly the same, but the tone is the same. Some of the information is the same, and it's the same intention that whichever way people find me, whether it's through the first post, the about page, which is really a great way for people to find you on the app, or the welcome email, which people get when they enter their email address in and you welcome them that way, they're basically getting that same set of information from me, and it's that same intention setting, you know, so that tone is the same. So you can have a look at what I've done, you can have a look what other people do, you can be influenced. But what I would say with any of that is we're throwing away the rule book. Like, you do what you want to do. So imagine there's a person in the room with you and you're welcoming them to your Substack space. What do you want to tell them about it? What do you want them to know? What's important? So that's the first one. You can pin posts to your profile. So when my Substack was really new, I did pin that post so that anybody finding it on the app or coming to the desktop would find that that post was high to the top, and then you can kind of forget about it and let it do the work for you. I've now got over 260 posts on my original publication. So obviously everything moves down in chronological order into the archive. So anything that you think is relevant and good information for new people, I think it is good to think about using that pin. So I've said about the temporary welcome email. The reason I say it's temporary is that there is one already populated for you by Substack, which is a bit like, it's fine, but you might want to just, you know, tinker with that a bit, delete parts of it, say what you want to say, add your logo, add your profile picture, add your social media handles. Like, just have a think about what you want to say in that welcome email. Have a look how it chimes with your about page and also with that first welcome post, which can be sent out as an email as well, either right now or in the future. So the profile picture, you've got the option between a profile picture as a writer and then a logo for your publication. So because I run 3 publications on Substack, my writer photo is my writer photo, and then my publications each have a separate logo. That's really helpful for me. It's really helpful for when people are finding me and they're trying to find which one they want to connect to. And some people do connect to all 3. But I think it's really useful to use the same profile photo that you use across other social media, so that if you are inviting other people over from your socials, they instantly recognize it's you. I just think that's really nice to sort of stay on brand and make it really clear that that is you. Obviously, good profile photos, and mine isn't one. I just love the photo. You would be looking at the camera, you would be facing forward, you know, you would be engaging with eye contact and all that sort of thing. Mine is slightly looking over to the side, but it is what it is, and I just love the photo. So that's the one that I use. The logo, you can just leave it blank if you want to, and Substack will just kind of like have a blank space there, so it'll just be a white space in the top left. Or you can make something in Canva, like there are a whole load of templates and stuff like that. Just keep it really simple if you do want to put something there, but you don't have to rush it. If you've already got a logo, that's great. If you wanted to put another photo there, like a photo of a flower or something, an emblem that means something to you, that's cool too. Again, throwing away the rule book, it's all good. So content pillars. So this is quite a chunky one to talk about. And I actually just led a workshop on Monday all about the difference between content pillars and topics, and where topics fit within content pillars. I think that for me, as a multi-hyphen, and for somebody that has been freelance since 2008, that works for a multitude of different clients, that set up an Instagram account to sort of find my creative voice away from work in the typical sense, it's been a really interesting journey to map out what it is that I talk about on the internet. Because remember, we don't have to share the whole of ourselves. So in terms of the stuff that I talk about, it's sort of moved between slow-lived family life, allotment gardening, creativity for well-being, bits around like our personal journey. So when we did the house renovation, I sort of shared that sort of stuff. And when my husband was really poorly, I shared that sort of stuff and how it was all feeling and how it was all landing. If I'm really passionate about something, I'll share it. But ultimately, it fits within 3 different content pillars. And so I know when I get an idea for a Substack post, or I feel like Is this a video? Is this audio? Like, how does it fit within the Substack ecosystem? And bigger than that, my wider ecosystem for my business, and know where it's going to fall and where it's going to sit. And that's not to say that I couldn't write on a different topic, but over the years that I've been writing and sharing and showing up online, I haven't really been compelled to write about something that was completely outside of these content systems. So I think that setting out your creative pillars for content is a really good first step. If you are coming to Substack to do something like you want to kind of serialize a novel or a memoir or something like that, obviously it's slightly different. But what I would say is, if you've got that, you still need to talk about who you are as a person. It's not enough on Substack to just kind of ghost write and expect a big following. It's possible, but what people are looking for is genuine connection with the writer behind the words. And that's where a lot of the success that I've seen on the platforms really come from. So I hope that's helpful. Feel free to have a look at my workshop. It's called Choose To, if you want to head over to that. It's on my website. You can have a look if you wanted to buy the replay of that. So next up is Substack writers, Substack read, Substack spend 10 minutes or so on the explore page, searching for publications you might like to read or sub to. I'm just going to plug my laptop in 2 seconds. Sorry about that. I could have paused it. I thought afterwards I should have just paused it anyway. Just being real today because I'm slightly tired. It's my birthday weekend. So we were out for dinner last night and I had a glass of wine. I don't normally have any alcohol at all, but it was really nice, celebratory, gorgeous setting. So I am slightly on go slow today. So bear with me. So yeah, so I think if you subscribe to everything that Substack's got to say, it just keeps you really clear on what you're there to do and what they're there to do. So that relationship builds over time. So you start to understand who Substack are and what they're about. You put down everything that you might have believed about social media and know that this is not that. So Substack is just not that. It's a social network for sure, but it is a spacious and generous place of community and support. And that's basically everything that I've found there in 15 months of writing there. Now that one of my accounts has started to get a bit bigger, I have had a couple of snidey remarks and I'm just like, oh yeah, whatever. What do you call them? Karen or something, if they're just like not very positive. But it's not female. It's always a man who hasn't got any sort of writing and just is obviously on there to kind of try and tear people down, whatever. But yeah, subscribe to Substack. If you head over to my Substack resources page, which I'll link to as well, then you'll find all of the different Substack handles to follow, the Substack read, Substack writers, and Substack itself. And then there are people within Substack who work for Substack that you can, how many times can I say Substack, that you can follow on notes as well. So have a little look at all of that, and then this is my word of warning, guys, be really, really cautious about who else you subscribe to. So when I first went over to Substack, my husband had asked me to come onto the platform and he was writing there and he was really excited about the space. And I learned that Emma Gannon was on there as well. So she is a best-selling author in the UK and she writes about what it's been like to grow up on the internet now. She's hit her 30s now, but she's got a lot of really smart, intelligent stuff to say about what that journey's been like. And so that just felt like a really important, subscribe to my husband, subscribe to Emma Gannon, and then see what else the platform has got to offer. But I didn't really go looking for lots of people that were writing there. I think all the kind of heaviness of social media was really wearing on me. Like, I've taught a lot of social media classes. I know what people feel about coming to their phones, coming to a consistent posting schedule, and it's heavy. And I didn't want that for this space. So my advice would be create first. And you know that it's an anonymous saying, create before you consume, but maybe find one other person or a couple of other people that you're interested in, but we're really cautious about that influence that can come from that. we can't help it. You know, we just are influenced. We're social animals, like we want to belong. So we're going to start looking for ways to belong. Whereas if we trust that our creativity is inherently in us and it's part of us and it can flow through us, then Substack is a gorgeous space for that. So that's my word of warning, but you can have a look on the Explore page. You can have a look through topics. You can have a look in notes. That's all available to you if you want to. So notes, I've done a separate YouTube video about notes. I think it is worth spending about 20 minutes there to try and get a sense of who's showing up there, what it's all about, what it's not about. The way that it works is content is more evergreen on notes than it is on any other social media. So I've had notes last longer than 2 weeks. So the way that it works is the more people that kind of come to the note and have something to chime in, the longer the note kicks around. So it's a really nice space. There are people inviting you to participate in conversation, participate in photo challenges, in collecting of information. You can share your own work, although people say don't self-promote too much, but if you want to share your own work, share your own work. I mean, goodness, like it's hard enough, isn't it? So if you feel compelled to share your work, please share your work. But yes, have a little look at exploring notes. Just give yourself a 20-minute timer and then come off. It is easier to explore notes on the app on your phone, but it is available on the desktop as well. So next up, and again in no particular order, is write your temporary about page. And so again, like I was saying at the beginning, what do you want to say? Like we've all got so much to say about who we are and what's brought us to this point in time, but what do you really want to say? Like what's compelled you to come on to Substack? Like has there been a reason? Are you, burnt out with social media? Are you going through something difficult in your life? Did you want to just find somewhere long form to write? Were you curious? Just have a little think about that. But also, it's a really good place to say who you are in the world, because that about page is one of the only places that people click on the app where they can get to know you after they might have found a post or, they've stumbled across your profile. So it's really worth spending some time there. I would say out of all the places to spend time setting up your Substack, your about page, and remember it's all temporary, you can change it, is a really good place to sit with and to spend time and maybe to ask a couple of people to read and see how it is. Don't feel like you need to copy your social media bios over there, because those are really short and you've got much more space here. So you can be quite clever with your writer profile bio and your publication bio. They're quite short spaces, but the about page, make it as long as you want to. Link to different URLs within your profile on Substack, link to pages, link to testimonials, link to other social media if that's what you want to do. Or when we first joined, none of us had any social media on there. So you literally couldn't look anybody up. It was really nice. So the reason I'm smiling is it was just like this really peaceful time where nobody had their LinkedIn handle, their Instagram handle. Like there was just none of that. It wasn't available for us to put that stuff on. So all we knew was somebody's writing. We didn't know how many subscribers they had, how long they'd been writing there. There was no way really of knowing that stuff. It was just like, here they are, here's a piece of writing that feels really great to connect to. So yeah, it was a really nice time. So a file on your desktop for photos, page break, or other graphics you might like to use. So because it's just one big long white page, on the desktop you can change your colors, but on the app, and if it goes into email, it's just a big long white page. So I like to break it up with page breaks. You can find 108 designs that I've made in Canva, and they're so simplistic. Like they're literally just a break that's sort of in a suggested color that you could change, and they work really well to just break up the monotony of the text. So they're a really nice thing to use. You can use other graphics, you can use other icons, you can think about photos that you have. It's my pet peeve really when people use stock photos for everything, because I just think we as humans have smartphones and we have the opportunity to take photos in any split second. We must have rainbows and flowers and whatever, like there's so many things that are neutral and that are not going to kind of be too personal, but that can be shared to kind of personalize our writing. So I really think it's a lovely idea to just have those as an easily accessible thing on your desktop so you can put them in. So I started using a few stock photos in the beginning, and now I've just built up that bank of my own photography, and it's just iPhone photography, and I really like to do that. And I do repeat photos a lot as well. It's not Instagram. We can throw away the rule book and repeat photos, so that's all good. Decide on your layout and color palette. So Substack gives you a couple of options. You can have newspaper or magazine, and then you can tile it into tiles or into lists after that. And there is a more complicated one that I'll go into in another section. And then in the settings as well, you can change the color of your backdrop, and you can change the color of your buttons. So my buttons are pink on my main publication and they're green on Sparkle on Substack, and that kind of matches in with all the brand that I'm building up over there. So again, don't overthink it, you know, pick the color that feels nice to you. You can always change it. Organize your tabs. You can drag and drop these. Yeah, so this is a really interesting one because it's just that space of thinking about, okay, like, what do we want people to see when they first land on our page? So I'll remember that one, and I'll just head back over to my desktop here and show you what I mean. Is it going to do it? Any second now. Oh, okay. There we go. I'll just stop that and go into another one. Hang on. I don't know sometimes whether it's my internet, you know, when it just decides it doesn't want to let me do it. Okay, it's going to do it. Great. Okay, so on Sparkle on Substack, I've built this up over, I don't know, even long, couple of weeks or something, but I've added all of these in. So I added in podcast, notes, chat. You can turn all three of those off. I added in an A to Z Substack of Substack page, art on Substack, membership sparkles, which is my membership resources, Substack resources, and writery groups. Now, it's almost probably too many, I'll not lie, but I was enthusiastic about setting it up. I had my vision for it. I'm going to leave it like that for a while. And then it might be that writery groups ends up sitting in the A to Z of Substack or in the Substack resources. But for now, because I was really profiling those pages and I just really wanted to get the information out to people, that's what I did. Now, you can also use the URL of a post and have that in your dashboard here. And you can also use a section or a tag and get the URL to put in that dashboard section there. So I think that there's loads to think about, but it is totally possible to rework those and to move them around and to think about the order that you want them in. They always leave, I think I'm right in saying this, they always leave archive and about as the last two. So you have got some options within that. I think depending on what you want to come to Substack for, you could kind of draw that out. And then as you get to kind of know yourself on the platform a little bit, you might kind of work through and decide what you want to do on those. I'll just show you Creatively Conscious as well. This is my main one. So this one, I've just tidied it up actually. So I've got creative projects, membership, notes from the sea, which is my monthly email. And then I've got my guest section, which I sometimes write in as well, called Big Dreams and Quiet Ambition. So yeah, it's slightly cleaner than Sparkle on Substack, but there is method in my madness. And I'm going to show you my final publication just to show you the difference. And you see this on everybody's when you go on the desktop. So we've just kept this really simple. Essentially, Company of Two is a podcast for mums. So it's podcast, it's notes, and then that's it really. We've got our about page and our archive. So we haven't added anything else in there at the moment. But if you were particularly wanting to profile something and if you wanted a URL for something, it's a really good thing to do. And I just think it's really worth thinking about before you start setting up your Substack, to know that you have essentially got a website that you can kind of move between the different tabs within and encourage others to do the same. Now, at the moment of recording this, they cannot do that on the app. So you would have to add the URLs to your about page or to your welcome email, or your first post, your welcome post. You would have to add those in so that you were kind of directing people where to go. So it's a bit of a workaround that I found to do that, knowing that looking at my statistics, a lot of people are actually reading in the app. So for me, it felt really important to be able to try and navigate that with them and try and encourage them to click on those different pages. Also, I just seem to be getting asked a lot about where those live on my publication. So the last one that I did, and this is obviously just a starter for 10, 14 different things that you could do, is about deciding on a posting schedule. So I've got so much to say about cadence, and I'll probably do a workshop in my paid community around cadence because there's so much to say about it. But what I really want to say to you guys is, if you know roughly what works for you in terms of when you can show up and when you can publish, when are your people online? Have you got subscribers all over the world, or are you mainly just in one country? Like, when are they awake? When are they having their coffee? When are they having their downtime? Are they scrolling before bed? When do they read publications and newsletters? Do you know any of that? If you don't, put a little poll out and ask them. But I would say it's a combination between understanding them and knowing when you can publish. And then remember, you've also got the scheduling tool as well, so you can schedule. So with my Friday emails that I was sending every single Friday, and they were all about staying creative on Substack, they went out at 3 a.m. my time. So I finished them on a Thursday. I scheduled them for 3 a.m. Friday, which meant it was still Thursday evening in the US. So people were reading them and sharing them and commenting them on them while I was asleep. So that felt really nice and generous to do. And also I've been very focused on building an international audience and trying to reach further than my kind of little bubble of Northumberland in the UK. So that felt like a really nice thing to do. And I haven't set other cadences up that have been as strict as that, but I do have my monthly notes from the sea, which goes out usually in the morning of the first day of the month. And I have written that for 7 years. So I used to say it'll come out around about the first of the month. And sometimes it would be like as late as the 5th, because I was fitting it in like quite intense event management work and project management work. So people didn't mind and people don't mind. But I think for you, having that self-imposed deadline of what you're writing around and understanding that you can show up and post 24 hours, it's up to you. I think it's really nice to think about it. And the main thing about cadence and getting that decision nailed is then you've decided and you don't have to think about it. So you're not second guessing, when should this go? When should that go? When should the other go? And as you expand your Substack, like I have, it becomes more difficult. So I have this monthly section, Big Dreams and Quiet Ambitions, and I'm always worried about, when should this go? What is this piece like? When does it need to land with people? So it's ended up becoming a weekend supplement where it was going to be like a midweek, break your week up and read something aspirational. It's moved into the weekends, and I still don't know if that's quite the right place for it, but that's where it's ended up for now. So I'll do another couple like that, and then I'll maybe think about it again. So yeah, I hope that's been really, really useful. And if you've got any questions, feel free to leave them in a comment below, or head over to Sparkle on Substack. Find me there. I love to chat in the comments. I love to support everybody's Substack journey. You can consider becoming a paid subscriber if you would like to. It's only £70 a year, and you can also, for that, bring a friend. So at the moment, I'm sending out this invitation to just try and encourage more people to work together on their Substack. So if you've got someone that you think would really like Substack, or someone that you would like to encourage on, do let me know, because if you buy a spot, then they get one too. Okay, that's all for today. Thanks so much for your support as always, and I'll see you over on Substack.